Hi, my name is Steve Weyl. I took my roofing company from $0 to $10 million in the first 10 years, then $10 million to $105 million in the next 10 years. Now, you can Google my name and you'll find out I'm for real. I sold my company for more money than I can ever spend, and now I teach a repeatable, a trainable, a proven successful sales and business process to others who are ready to get out of their comfort zone and want to grow their company. Here goes. So let's start with the easy fixes. You might get a better understanding why I partnered with Hearth. So let's start with 6 mistakes when selling financing. I'll start by simply listing the 6 mistakes, and then I'll go back and give you some techniques on how you can fix those mistakes. So mistake number 1, we call it the money conversation. That is, not having a money conversation prior to the quote. You have to understand there's a difference between a cash buyer and a payment buyer. And until you understand that, how can you quote the job? So I'll give you a technique to vet that out that'll keep you comfortable as well as the buyer comfortable. Mistake number 2, payment comfort zone. That is, not understanding your buyer's payment comfort zone. Now, in the cash world, there's a price that the buyer wants to pay, right? Well, there's also a price that they will pay. There's a price that they can pay, and ultimately there's a price that they do pay. Well, it's very similar in the payment world. There's a payment that the buyer wants. There is a payment that the buyer will pay. There's a payment that they can pay, and ultimately there's a payment that they do pay. Your job is to find out each one of those. Mistake number 3, pre-approving. That is, not pre-approving your buyer prior to the quote. No money, no sale. Why would you spend valuable time with someone who can't afford your product or your service? With Hearth, in 60 seconds, you can get somebody pre-approved. So why wouldn't you? Mistake number 4, how much? Not knowing how much is available for the project. Wouldn't you want to know how much is available before you quote? Hearth will immediately send you a text and give you that buyer's credit limits. What salesperson wouldn't want to know that? Mistake number 5, multiple financing options. That is, not having multiple financing options. Most companies, they've got, 1 or 2 lenders they can tap. Well, would 3 or 4 be better? How about 6? With Hearth, you could get 60 different offers from, approximately 12 different lenders. I can only imagine if I had Hearth when I had my company. Mistake number 6, decision. That is, engaging with somebody who won't or can't make a decision. Now, you know how this story ends. You get the financing in place, you've got the credit limits, you've quoted the project, and the buyer defaults to one objection you can't overcome. I need to talk to my spouse. You put yourself in that situation, you get what you deserve. So now you know some of the mistakes. How about some tips on how you can fix those mistakes? Here goes. So the money conversation, that was not having the money conversation prior to the quote. I'm going to tell you, probably, 5 minutes into the sales call, you might have that money conversation. It would sound like this. Hey folks, 50% of my clients, they finance. The other 50%, they write a check. Which bucket do you fall into? Now, you can have some versions of that. You could say 80% of my clients, they do payments. The other 20%, they write a check. Which bucket do you fall into? You could go, half of my clients do this, half of my clients do this. Which bucket do you fall into? Well, at least you're going to know, is this a payment or is this a cash buyer? Okay, remember mistake number 2, comfort zone. That is, not knowing your buyer's comfort zone for that payment. How do you vet that out? Okay, it's not too tough. It might sound like this. So folks, how about we talk about your payment comfort zone? Now some of my clients, they're in that $200 to $300 range. Others are thinking $300 to $400. Other things $400 to $500. Now, I wouldn't presume to know what your comfort zone is, but maybe you can share with me. Help me understand, what should we be looking at? Mistake number 3, pre-approving. That is, not pre-approving your buyer prior to the quote. Now, this should happen early in the sales call. Remember that. Now, the technique for this, it's pretty simple. It just sounds like this. Folks, let me explain our process for this. Here's what we need to do next. And then you just fill in the blanks. Yep, that's it. Okay, so let's jump to mistake number 6, decision. That is engaging with somebody who can't or won't make a decision. Again, we know how that story ends. So it's a pretty simple technique. Early in the sales call, you might simply ask the question, so Mary, who besides yourself is involved in this decision? Now, you could have some other versions of this. It could be, Mary, who else might be interested in selecting colors, textures, gauges, specifications? It could be, Mary, I'm assuming you're the person to talk to about the construction of your home. Well, she's going to correct you otherwise. So you're vetting out who are the other players, who are the other decision makers. At the same time, you're protecting the buyer's okayness. Isn't that the number one thing that we should be doing throughout that sales call? In less than 5 minutes, you learn some simple things that could be the difference between winning and losing the sale. And you know what? We've barely scratched the surface. Now, my question to you, does your company have a proven successful, repeatable, trainable sales process? Do your salespeople struggle with what to say or do when it comes time to close? Are you getting too many let me think about it at the end of the sales call and you don't know how to fix that? I can help. Maybe you're a business owner and you want to learn, how do I hire my next sales superstar? Or how do I generate leads? Or maybe you want to know the things that you have to do today to be able to sell your company in the future. Roofing, remodeling, home improvement, really anyone or any company that find themselves selling at the kitchen table. You know, you could spend 25 years and figure out some of this on your own, or you could tap into my 25 years and shortcut that path. Want to have a conversation? Shoot me an email. We'll find time for a quick phone call. I'm Steve Weyl, sales trainer, business coach.